Happy month of March, folks, and welcome back to Hashtag AskGSM here today, episode 170. Thank you for that weird milestone, I guess. I don't know what the significance of 170 is, but I appreciate your support nevertheless. It is the month of March, as I had mentioned, and we are back with an all-new episode here today, answering your questions from Facebook, Twitter, and YouTube. And 1 month from today, and I don't think I mentioned this when I broke the news of the WrestleMania announcement a couple weeks ago, but 1 month from today, Jason and I, he's going with me to Mania. I thought I mentioned that in the video. I think I said that we were in talks about it. It had yet to be confirmed, but yeah, Jason and I are WrestleMania bound in 1 month from today. To be exact, we're going to be there March 31st, and so 4 weeks from Friday. But still, we'll be there in exactly 1 month on April 1st in Orlando for TakeOver that Saturday, and then WrestleMania Sunday. No Raw, just TakeOver and WrestleMania. But still, it's going to be a crazy fucking weekend. My first ever WrestleMania. When I first started watching 9 years ago, I had aspirations of buying WrestleMania in the Citrus Bowl, WrestleMania 24, and now 9 years later, almost exactly on the anniversary of when I first started watching wrestling, I will be there for WrestleMania, which is fucking insane. So I can't wait for it. And before we get started here, I was surprised that no one mentioned this and no one asked about it for today's video. And again, I don't have too much time. I got to go to class in less than an hour. But another TNA departure. If you've been following along with the dirt sheets and all the news that's been breaking in regards to TNA over the past couple of days, the Hardy Boys, the Broken Hardys, whatever, left TNA officially on Tuesday night at midnight, Wednesday, today, whatever. Their contracts expired. News broke on Monday that TNA fucked up their contract negotiations and they're gone. Who are by the way, the current TNA World Tag Team Champions. Drew Galloway announced his departure on Sunday, so he's gone. Just yesterday, Mike Bennett and Maria, who had reportedly resigned a couple days ago, are also now gone from TNA. And now, just literally minutes before I started recording, Jade was announced to have been released or asked for her release and has left TNA as well. What the fuck is going on? I know this has happened before with WWE. Like about a year ago, we had Sandow, Warren Swoggle, Alex Riley, Zeb Coulter, Cameron, Wade Barrett, all these others leaving WWE on one day. But, I mean, that was a lot more people, but those were like undercard guys, like people that had literally not been on TV in years, like in any significant role. These are all of TNA's top talent. Jade is a former Knockouts champion, is currently feuding with Rosemary. I think she's having a match fucking tomorrow for the belt. I don't think at the tapings, but at one of the shows they previously taped. The Hardys were all over Impact Wrestling for well over a year, as the Broken Hardys, and Jeff's been there for like 7 years at this point or something like that. Matt Hardy came back in 2014. Drew Galloway, another rising star, a former World Heavyweight Champion, on TV, their current Impact Grand Champion. I have no idea what the fuck that is, so don't ask me. And Mike Bennett and Maria came in about a year ago. They were pushed straight to the moon. Maria has been involved in the biggest angle other than the Broken Hardys and current programming with Allie and Braxton Sutter and Laurel Van Ness, and now she's fucking gone. It's like, oh my god. Oh man, the tapings tomorrow will surely be interesting. And I heard talks with Del Rio fell through. They don't want Del Rio anymore. Not that I really care, but it's like he could have been a big boost to their lack of star. They have no fucking star power. It's sad. I wanted to mention that here just because I don't know where else I'll mention it. I don't think we'll talk about it tomorrow on Wrestle Rant Radio. And maybe, I already filmed this week's random video blog, so maybe on Sunday I'll go more in depth about it. But no one asked about it for today's video, so I figured I would just mention it here. But at any rate, guys, before we get started here, if you want to send in a question, tweet me on the Twitter machine at WrestleRant with hashtag AskGSM. Find me on Facebook and leave me a comment on the post I usually put up on Tuesday nights at facebook.com/graham.gsm.matthews or on the wall itself. Or you could leave a comment on this very video. I'll be sure to include your question in next week's edition. Let's get started here with Prince5835. His question was, I asked something about the draft a few weeks ago. Who do you want to see on Raw and on SmackDown, or do you just want no draft and just trades? Good question. I do want to draft, but as I've said before, it's got to be done the right way. And I like the way originally, but upon further inspection, upon further thought, it makes absolutely no sense the way they used to do it with Raw and SmackDown battling for draft picks. That's so stupid, because what if Raw wins more matches than SmackDown? And it's random, in storyline, Raw could get John Cena, AJ Styles, and Dean Ambrose, and SmackDown could get fucking Bo Dallas, Titus O'Neil, and Curtis Axel. I know they never really used to do that. There were some years where SmackDown got completely fucked. So lest we forget that as well. So I really hope they don't do it that way. And if they do it, another draft, which I hope they will at some point this year, the rosters do need to be freshened up a little bit. Not only that, but guys like Cesaro and SmackDown should be in SmackDown. Cesaro and Sami Zayn rather should be on SmackDown Live. In addition to the club, in my opinion, AJ should stay right where he's at. Maybe Rollins on SmackDown, either Rollins or Balor on SmackDown to kind of interact with AJ. That'd be a fresh feud for AJ on Tuesday nights. In terms of who goes to Raw, it's like, oh man, do I really have to go to Raw? Because I've been flourishing on SmackDown. Maybe Apollo Crews. He's been doing nothing on SmackDown. I doubt it's going to be any better on Raw, but maybe a change in scenery will help him out. Dolph Ziggler, not like I really care at this point. Dean Ambrose to reunite the Shield on Raw. I could definitely see that. So those are a few possibilities. I wrote a whole article a couple weeks ago about people I think should be traded to SmackDown specifically at some point in 2017. His second question, is it just me or does the in-ring action in WWE look slower than in the past? It does. I mean, I've never really that's not my biggest criticism by far of the current product in WWE, but yeah, I mean, it does look a bit slower, but you also have to preserve your bodies. You can't be going out and delivering big moves in every single fucking television match, because that's why guys like Daniel Bryan aren't wrestling anymore. I hate to say it, but it is. The guy would go out there and, go balls to the wall in every fucking TV match he had, and now he's retired. You can't do that. I mean, I could see a case being made for pay-per-views, which I am absolutely in favor of, but on TV, you got to take it slower. And it's not like the in-ring action is, maybe to an extent it's slowed down, but we're still getting, I think 2016 in my opinion was by far the best in-ring year that WWE has had at least since 2000, with the amount of amazing matches they had last year. And my top 25 list, I've talked about it before, I did for Bleacher Report on Christmas last year. Every match on that list was not very good or even great. Every single fucking match on that list was excellent. So it was hard to rank them all. So it's not like the slower in-ring style has caused the matches to, take a notch down in quality. They're all still just as good, if not better. So I really don't have much criticism of that. His third question, how come wrestlers don't have signature backstage segments like they used to, like the APA would be backstage playing poker and drinking beer, etc.? Do you think the Usos should have backstage segments where they're tearing stuff and acting like heelish thugs? Yeah, I'd be totally in favor of that. I think that'd be pretty damn cool to see the Usos. I think if any tag team, really anyone in WWE today could have a great backstage segment like the APA used to do, it could be the Usos. They weren't even on SmackDown this week, but the promo they cut last week was very Briscoes-esque, and I thought it was fucking awesome. Definitely one of, if not the greatest promo they've ever cut in their entire career. So, yeah, I could see the Usos doing something like that. I know American Alpha alluded to on Talking Smack that they were taking pictures, creepily taking pictures of American Alpha backstage and posting them on Twitter. So AA was on SmackDown last night, or they were on Talking Smack, but not SmackDown, nor were the Usos. That was kind of disappointing. But, yeah, no, that doesn't really bother me, but once you bring it up, it's like, yeah, you know what, I wish we would get more backstage stuff, or, no, I've talked about it before, the whole Nikki Bella and Natalya feud for me worked because they went outside the box. Their promos were not just in the ring, they were outside near concession and near where they sell the merchandise. They would do the side-by-side interviews. That stuff was really cool because it's not stuff that we normally see in WWE. So if they can kind of go more outside the box with a lot of the stuff that they do, then I'm completely in favor of that as well. Emmanuel A., I just want to talk about something I learned Tuesday morning. Did you know Vince McMahon used to own a yacht called Sexy Bitch? No, I honestly cannot say I knew about that previously prior to you bringing it up. But that's fucking great. Honestly, it does not surprise me at all. It's Vince McMahon we're talking about here, but that is hilarious. I'm definitely going to have to do more some research on that after I'm done recording this video. Brandon has got a couple questions here. Is Beth Phoenix in danger of getting bombarded with China chants at the Hall of Fame? Also, do you think it's insensitive of Vince to not put Vader in this year if he really only has 2 years left to live? So two-part question. With Beth Phoenix, I don't think so. I saw some criticism online on Twitter and other websites why is Phoenix getting in now before China? First of all, she just died a year ago, which is one of the main reasons why Macho Man did not go in until 4 years after his death, because they didn't want to seem like they were capitalizing, which is wise. It would have been cool to see China in this year, but at the same time, it's she literally just died a year ago, and prior to last year, they had no intention of putting her in the Hall of Fame anytime soon. So why do it this year? I think that'd be just dumb. I think it'd be very petty if they did that. So they got to hold off on her. But at the same time, I know RJ and I were talking on Monday via sliding into those DMs, though. But he had brought up to me like Jackie, Stacy Keibler. I'm honestly shocked is not in already. Not Jackie. Jackie's already in. Jacqueline's already in. Not Ivory, I guess, too, would be another good one. Jazz was who we were discussing. But I'm honestly shocked that Stacy Keibler's not in. I mean, I know she never won a fucking title. She was awful in the ring, but as a character, she was great. She was a staple of WWE TV for well over 5 years with the Dudleys, with the superheroes, with fucking Hurricane Helms and Rosie in WCW as the teacher or whatever gimmick she used to have over there, and now she's gone on to do huge things in the world of entertainment, so I'm sure she'll be in at some point as well. But with Phoenix, who can complain? Yes, it's a bit premature, but it's not like she just retired last year. She's been out of the ring for almost 5 years at this point, and she's a well-worthy inductee. And the thing with the women is that outside of the people I just mentioned, they really don't have a lot of obvious inductees. Like AJ Lee will go in at some point. Obviously not anytime soon due to the CM Punk thing, but even that aside, like after she retired 2 years ago, I remember people saying, oh, Hall of Fame 2016. It's like, no, she just retired a year ago. It's like, I know they did that with Edge and Michaels, but she isn't an Edge and she isn't a Shawn Michaels. So she will be in down the line, not anytime soon. I could see Eve going in at some point, but it's like they just retired like 2-3 years ago. I know Phoenix is a bit further out there. Like Mickie James, if she didn't come back, she probably would have been in this year instead of Beth Phoenix. But it's like they already have Trish in there, Alita, Alundra Blaze, all those other women, Fabulous Moolah, Mae Young. They only really have one woman inductee a year. So they're kind of getting to the bottom of the barrel, not in terms of people that aren't worthy, but they have to kind of rush some inductees. So I don't think people are that stupid to chance shine at the Hall of Fame. It's not like it's fucking Rosa Mendez going in this year, which she never, I mean, maybe she could just for the fact that she never won a fucking match in WWE, except one via disqualification, which is impressive in and of itself. But in all seriousness, I don't think people are that dumb to chance shine at the Hall of Fame. The second part of your question for Vader, it's not even that they should put him in just because he might only have 2 years left to live. They should put him in because he's fucking worthy. I'm shocked that he's not in already. I love DDP, but it's like I would have put Vader in before Diamond Dallas Page. I know Diamond Dallas Page did a lot for WWE, both inside and outside the ring for guys like Jake the Snake and Scott Hall, and the list goes on and on. Mick Foley just recently. But it's like, oh my God, like Vader is an obvious inductee for WCW and for the stuff he did in WWE. Not a lot. They botched this push big time, and Vader should have been a way bigger star in the company than he initially was. But, I mean, the class is not yet confirmed. We only got like half the class, maybe a little over half. We have Teddy Long, DDP, the Rock and Roll Express, Kurt Angle, and Beth Phoenix. So that's 5, 6 if you include, or did I say Teddy Long? I think I said Teddy Long. So that's 5 or 6 if you include the other Rock and Roll Express member. I count them as one. But, I mean, usually they induct around 7 to 8 a year, so maybe one more wrestler, because I know they induct, obviously, the Warrior Award recipient and also the celebrity. So there is still time for Vader to go in, and I hope they do, because, I mean, they could always do it next year, but with his current health status, you don't really know, and I hate when they induct people after they die. That, to me, is just, I'm not a fan, obviously, for obvious reasons. But anyway, second question, should Titus O'Neil just ask for his release from WWE? There's a difference between being jobbed out like the Vaudevillains and being saturated in a pile of steaming hot you-know-what every week. That is sad. It's like, I read that as Donald Trump. Sad. You know how he puts that at the end of his tweets? My roommate's a huge Trump guy, so he says it all the time. Sad. I put that in a tweet last night, and someone replied to me, fake news, sad, and I laughed. But anyway, so in terms of your question for Titus O'Neil, he's not going to leave just because he's a big company guy, and it's not like, oh my God, he'd be a big pickup for TNA. I've never been the biggest O'Neil fan as a wrestler. Yes, he can be. Like, he had one great showing on commentary like 5 years ago, and people blew up thinking he could be a future world champion. The guy sucks in the ring. I hate when people say, oh, Titus O'Neil should be a future world champion. The guy is awful in the ring. He looks awkward walking to the ring, let alone wrestling. He's a great, awesome dude. He's an amazing ambassador for this company in terms of the stuff he does outside the ring. And I thought he was great in the Primetime Players, but on his own, he fucking sucks. The Sheamus thing on Monday, I mean, it was one thing just because, I mean, I was really just more mad because it was a waste of time, and I'm not really sure what purpose it was supposed to serve other than to kill time. But it's like, he's going to stick around just for the platform that WWE gives him to do the Make-A-Wish thing and the father campaign and donating to charity and the the bully campaigns and all that other shit. So I can't really say that he should ask for his release. I mean, he should be used better. Like I said, he should not be. He's not a future world champion. The guy's in his mid to late 30s. Not that age really makes a difference, but he debuted 7 years ago. Like, he's way past his prime, if he ever really had a prime to begin with, in terms of his the peak of his wrestling ability. He could be a mid-card guy at best, but just, yeah, the way that they're using him right now is a waste. But I'm not going to say that he should quit. I mean, he's being paid by WWE, I'm sure, really good money just to go out there and job. Hey, he got an easy payday on Monday. Can he really complain? Can we complain? Because he wrestled for like a minute. I wish they would do more with him, but at this point, I've really just kind of lost hope. Why the CM Punk chants during the Seth Rollins, Triple H, and Corey Graves segment on Raw? I know you prefer annoying crowds to quiet crowds, but in your opinion, at what point does it go too far? Yeah, I know I said a while ago that I do prefer the annoying crowds to the quiet crowds, but that's not to say I prefer annoying crowds. It's the lesser of two evils. Annoying crowds are fucking annoying, but I'd rather take a lively crowd than a crowd that does nothing at all. Corpus Christi. But, yeah, no, with the chant on Raw, that was fucking stupid. That was really dumb. I forgot where they were. They were in Minnesota. Somewhere in Minnesota, I think. And just, it was sad. Like, why? What was even the point of chanting for CM Punk? It was two idiots in the crowd. It wasn't the whole audience. Like, I got the Rocky thing last week after Raw in Los Angeles. I thought that was pretty damn cool. But for the fucking thing on Raw on Monday this week, I thought it was just stupid. There's so many idiots out there that will chant stuff like, what? In CM Punk in the most inopportune times when it doesn't even make sense. Like, maybe if you're bored with something, but that was a great segment, so it's like, shut the fuck up. What is your favorite singles match in WrestleMania history that does not involve Shawn Michaels or The Undertaker? That's a great question. And the best part about it is that I did a whole list last year. If you check it out on nextairwrestling.net, go to Calmest Corner, and go to the bottom of the page to the categories. Go to WrestleMania Recall. I really enjoyed doing it, too. For the 31 days in the month of March, so exactly a year ago today, I started it on the website. I counted down my top 31 favorite WrestleMania matches of all time. Not even in the time that I've been a fan for. And the top 5 were all Michaels and Taker matches. I think the top 5 in no specific order was their match from 25, their match from 26, Undertaker and Triple H, and then Shawn Michaels and Kurt Angle, I think were the top 4 matches. So I believe this was 5, if not 6, but excluding Shawn Michaels and Taker matches from Mania, my favorite one-on-one match in WrestleMania history, and then this might come as a surprise to some, Randy Orton versus Seth Rollins from WrestleMania 31. My favorite WrestleMania. Love the feud, love the match. The finish, I just can't even speak enough. I can't even praise it enough. Cannot say enough good things about that finish. With the curb stomp into the RKO and the aftermath with Rollins becoming champion later that night. Really, really loved that match a lot. And RJ knows I watched it with him live in his dorm room 2 years ago. It was fucking great. So, yeah, favorite non-Michael/Taker match at Mania one-on-one. It's got to be Rollins and Orton from WrestleMania 31. Mark S. has got a couple, I think Brandon's got one more question here. Sorry, Mark, but before we get to his questions, based upon current storylines, what would make the best interpromotional match at this year's WrestleMania, not using NXT, just Raw versus SmackDown? Good question. I mean, we've seen these before. WrestleMania 21 comes to mind, Michaels and Angle, which was, again, one of the greatest WrestleMania matches of all time. Batista and Umaga from WrestleMania 24, which was also in the Citrus Bowl 9 years ago. WrestleMania 24 comes to mind. Not a very good match, but it was Raw versus SmackDown. The brand split at that point was pretty much a joke, so not like it really mattered. But this year, if they do one, Styles and Balor would be sweet, but it looks like they're setting up. I mean, Styles, as of right now, is currently in the WWE title match after winning on Tuesday for some odd reason. I mean, I'm happy, but I don't really know where they're going with this. But had that not happened, Styles and Balor, because Balor should be back any day now. I'll talk more about Balor in a second. But Balor and Styles would be fucking amazing if they set that up with the whole club involvement and they put Balor on SmackDown and further that feud beyond WrestleMania would be great. So I thought in my mind, if that match doesn't happen, and it won't, because Styles is currently already booked for the WWE title match, if not Shane and AJ, then you know what? You know what I was thinking? Directionless people, going into Mania anyway, on Raw and SmackDown, if Harper's not in the WWE title match, as I think he should be and probably will be, but let's assume, as of right now, he's not. So Luke Harper, I think putting him in the Battle Royal would be not a waste, but it's like I think he deserves more than that at this point after the last couple good months that he's had on SmackDown. And the same thing with this other man from Raw, Luke Harper and Braun Strowman. They have the history from the Wyatt family, obviously. Strowman's come a long way, and even RJ said himself in an article last week he deserves more than just the Battle Royal at WrestleMania. And Harper's a great worker, so I could honestly see that being a very, very good match at WrestleMania. So Harper and Strowman, if Harper's not in the WWE title match, an interpromotional match between those two guys I'd be all for that. I don't really see many people pitching that. I just thought of that today. I'm thinking, you know what? History-wise, in-ring-wise, the realistic chance of it happening, I would actually really, really like to see that. So hashtag book it. Mark S. Now we get to Mark's questions. What would be your opinion about a retirement stipulation being added to the match between Brock Lesnar and Goldberg at WrestleMania? I'm cool with that. I saw not a rumored card, like a fan card that was denied. It's not accurate at all. If you saw it making its way around the internet on Twitter on last week or whatever, Dave Meltzer shot it down. It's not accurate. But on there, it said Goldberg and Lesnar, not for the title. That was Owens and Jericho, not for the Universal title. But it said retirement match, like loser has to retire. And it makes sense. Goldberg is likely not re-signing in an in-ring role beyond Mania. And if he does, cool. But I don't think he will, nor really, I don't think there's a real need for it. It's not like, I need to see Goldberg against fucking, Dean Ambrose or something. So if he retires at Mania, having that match be a loser leaves WWE match would be... Lesnar could also leave. I doubt it. His contract expires next year. So I don't think so. But no, I'd be perfectly content with that. I guess Goldberg wins the belt. He's already accepted the match. And what else? Lesnar in that case has nothing to lose. So if Goldberg says, you know what, if I win and retain my title, then you have to leave WWE. And I don't think he's going to lose. I think it's pretty much a foregone conclusion that Lesnar will win. But adding that stipulation, I think, will make that match that much more must-see. Because currently I'm not really all that excited to see it over the championship, but adding that stipulation I think would be a nice touch. His second question, after hearing Finn Balor return to NXT to save Shinsuke Nakamura last week at the tapings, which brand should he stay with? I'd be happy if he stayed in NXT because a lot of new competition currently exists on the promotion since he left. What do you think? No. Balor in NXT would be cool, but the guy was there for 2-3 years. Like, when he got called up last summer, it was time. It was actually long overdue for him to be called up. No, there's a ready-made story for him to come back to Raw. Obviously, like I said, if he goes to SmackDown and the draft would be pretty cool, but he has a gripe with the champion. He never lost the championship. He was never beaten for the belt. He had to be vacated the night after winning it at SummerSlam last year. So him against Owens or whoever the champion is, again, I'll talk more about that momentarily. Someone else asked about that, but no, he's got to go back to Raw. NXT, yeah, they need more star power. Cassius Ohno, Chris Hero being back is great. Maybe, hopefully, Adam Cole at some point. Like I said, Galloway maybe coming back would be pretty great. I doubt the Hardys would go to NXT, nor really, it would make no sense. They don't even really fit in with what they're doing in NXT. Having them go to Raw or SmackDown would be far better. But, yeah, no, I think Balor on Raw just makes the most sense. I think NXT is great, but it would make no sense for Balor, of all people, to take a step back and go back down to developmental. And he's already faced Nakamura too anyway. He's already faced Joe and Nakamura. I know Joe's on Raw anyway, but you know what I mean. He's done all there is to do in NXT. No reason for him to go back in a regular role. His next question, seeing as that there is talk about a faction involving Samoa Joe and Kevin Owens, do you think it is needed since Kevin Owens is still a long-reigning WWE Universal Champion? Are they good enough on their own not to need a faction? I've seen a lot of talk about that. At first thought, like, a faction would be cool, but on second thought, it's like, I don't really need to see an Authority 2.0, which I know that's exactly what it would be. An Authority 2.0. Joe and Owens are great, but they would be watered down in a second if they added, if they were coming out with Triple H every single week. Like a modern day Evolution would be pretty cool, but it's like, I just don't want to see Triple H in any more fucking factions. Maybe as like a short-term thing going into Mania. Just Owens and Joe is like a two-man power trip. 16 years later, doing a two-man power trip, revisited, with Joe and Owens would be pretty damn cool. And you throw in someone like, I don't know, another ROH guy, another guy that would fit the bill. I think it'd be pretty damn awesome, but I just don't really want to see another Triple H-based faction from DX, the Authority, the Corporation, the McMahon-Helmsley era, regime, whatever, Evolution, everything that we fucking seen Triple H in over the past 15 years has all been based around stables. I'm just content with him being his own man at this point. An alliance, maybe. A faction, just, yeah, as you said, not necessary. His next question, could the New Day become tag team champions again in the future if they freshen up the team and resort to a two-person team? Would it make a difference? Not really. Like I've said before, I think they're just kind of spinning their wheels until they draft one, if not both, if not two guys from the New Day to SmackDown, which I think needs to happen. I love the New Day, but it's like, come on, you need to do something new. They're just clearly killing time at this point. So hopefully they resort to breaking them up in the draft. They're not terrible, but it's like they're very, very, very stagnant. They got no reaction on Monday. But then again, the crowd on Monday sucked. So I don't think it'd make that much of a difference. I could see them all going to SmackDown together and maybe winning the belts over there would be kind of different. But at this point, I'm just kind of ready for them to go their separate ways. At V4 Volkner from Twitter, his question was, do you think WWE should sign Candice LeRae for the NXT Women's Division due to its need for more polished wrestlers? I do. Like I said, I heard Jade left TNA. She'd be a great addition to NXT. Gail Kim, too. She's still with TNA, I believe. But Jade, who was the other one? Tessa Blanchard, I'm shocked is not signed already. She's made a handful of appearances over the past year or two. So I'm shocked she's not already in there. The other one that's made a bunch of appearances. She was in TNA for a while as Brittany. Her name escapes me right now, but god damn it, I'm gonna look it up. This stuff, when I always do this, when I always forget a name. Oh fuck, what's her name? Brittany. The point I'm trying to make is that a lot of these women could be great assets to NXT. Santana Garrett, there we go. That's the name that was escaping me, but yeah. Santana Garrett, Gail Kim, Jade, and also Candice LeRae. I've not seen a bunch of her work. I know she wrestles for Ring of Honor as part of Women of Honor, I believe. But she is pretty good. She's got a great look. I think isn't she married to Johnny Gargano? I'm pretty sure she is. And so again, I'm shocked she's not already in because I think Johnny can kind of pave the way for her. To get into NXT. For them to be together would be pretty cool. So yeah, I think them signing LeRae would be a great idea. His next question, if Goldberg versus Lesnar becomes for the Universal title, do you think Balor would be pushed down the card after he does return? It's not just Balor. It's like everybody. I don't think he'd be pushed down the card. Like Balor would not become a mid-card guy. They have a lot invested in him if, last summer was any indication. But if Brock wins the belt, they don't have a Money in the Bank guy to rely on to take the title off Lesnar that same night, if not the next night. And Lesnar's not going to be working all the other B-level pay-per-views. He's literally working every single Raw going into WrestleMania. He's been at Raw for the past couple weeks. He just hasn't been on TV, so what's even the point? I'd rather see those dates for a pay-per-view down after WrestleMania if he's going to become champion. Unless they have some sort of elaborate plan in mind, which is possible. I don't have too much faith in the company, but it's possible. Maybe then it's okay. I just think Balor, when he comes back after Mania, but there's no champion around until at least SummerSlam. And even Balor and Lesnar, I mean, it'd be a cool match, but Balor in storyline stands no threat to Brock Lesnar in terms of his size and shit. He'd be squashed in 5 minutes, which is obviously not the best thing for Balor coming off his injury, let alone his stock as a wrestler, as a superstar. So, I don't know. Again, I've said it before, I just don't think Goldberg and Lesnar, it's not even Balor and him being back and there's no belt for him to go for after losing it and really not being beaten for it last summer. It's just Goldberg and Lesnar for the belt. It's just not necessary. I hope they have something up their sleeve going into Mania, going to Fastlane on Sunday. I doubt they do. I'm just not hopeful as it currently stands, unfortunately. At Mr. Singleton 16, why does WWE feel like they have to put everybody in the card for WrestleMania? Does it hurt the pay-per-view when this happens? Yeah, it does. Like last year, why the fuck would you put Sin Cara? And I like Cody Rhodes, but Stardust meant nothing at the time. And again, I like Zack Ryder, and he won. It meant nothing because he dropped the belt the next night. But it's like, put those people in the fucking Battle Royal. That's what that shit's for. But getting everyone on the card in a multi-man ladder match for the IC or US belt, to me, makes no sense. That match last year should have been Owens and Zayn one-on-one. It's a great match. The matches at WrestleMania 31 and 32 for the IC belt is great. This year, I think what they will do, and they probably, not that they should do, I think Aries and Neville one-on-one would be a lot better than doing a fucking Cruiserweight Open. Or, I mean, a Cruiserweight ladder match is pretty cool, but it's like, that I'm more open to because it's an entire division. But when they do it for like the IC belt and the US belt, but it's like, come on, that's what the fucking Battle Royal's for. Put that shit in the pre-show. Yeah, when you get everyone in the card, everyone works their ass off all year long to get on WrestleMania. If everyone's a part of WrestleMania, then what does it really mean to be a part of WrestleMania? That's always been my big gripe with the past few WrestleMania cards. The second question, Again, I already kind of answered this, but do you feel the physicality in WWE is gone? I feel that the punches, slams, and the hard Irish whips look softer now. Again, it doesn't really stand out to me too much. Maybe other people have, other thoughts on that. I don't really. I kind of spoke my piece on that before. The physicality is not gone. Like, EJ did a fucking 450 through a table a couple months ago at TLC. Like, the shit they're doing looks vicious. So, I mean, they're kind of taking it softer. Like I said earlier, they can't go balls to the wall in every TV match. But, I guess a case can be made for the fact that they do look a bit softer, but I think it might be for the better in terms of the talent's health and whatnot, which is why, like, the Elimination Chamber pay-per-view, the Chamber itself, people were bitching about the lack of steel grates in the floor. I know that's what people remember the Chamber as, but it's like, I'm sure it takes a toll on their body to be landing on that fucking grate. I'm glad they got rid of it. It's not a big difference. And they can do a lot more shit in the Chamber now, too. They could do, like, suplexes off the Chamber and all that other shit. That match would not be as good as it was last month. The Chamber event, the WWE title main event, would not have been good as it was with, like, steel grates. Like, it hurts like a bitch. It looks like it hurts like a bitch, and it does, I'm sure. But there's only so many things you could do in that grate without literally, like, killing the health of the performer. So I'm glad they did that, but you know what I'm saying in relation to your question. At Mob Squad DF, his question was, why does WWE give away pay-per-view moments on free TV? I mean, this has been happening for a while now, but they feel like the pay-per-views don't really mean anything because they get their subscribers for the network and shit like that, but the ratings at this point are way more important than building up their pay-per-views, which is why they do it. Like, the Bayley moment to me stands out as the the most foolish mistake they've made in recent memory, not saving that for a big pay-per-view. It's like, what the fuck? Like, she's going to drop the belt this Sunday anyway, likely. And if she doesn't, why would Charlotte, why would her streak end on a B-level pay-per-view? So it's a lose-lose, really. And I don't fucking get it. I don't know why they do it. I'm a traditionalist. I think they should save their big moments and big matches for pay-per-view. If they do a cool little thing with Strowman and show on Raw, that's awesome. I don't think that's a big pay-per-view match anyway. But when they did what they did with Bayley, it's like, come on. Really? Like, that shit should have been saved for WrestleMania, if not Fastlane. Like, I'm an old school thinker in that they should save that stuff for pay-per-view. I completely agree. It's because ratings are so important, but they don't make a fucking difference anyway. The ratings are right back where they were before, if not lower than the previous week. The ratings have not changed since Bayley won the belt, and it's like, oh my god, what did I miss? It's not creating must-see TV. It's creating like the pay-per-views don't matter, and that's what TNA did to kill off their pay-per-view business, because they would do that fucking other big matches on free TV, and no one gave a shit about the pay-per-views. And now there's no pay-per-views to give a fuck about, because they're all gone for the most part, except Slammiversary and Bound for Glory, and the fucking one and only shows that mean nothing, and I don't watch them anyway. At RJ_Marso, his question was, who is the worst wrestler to get a one-on-one match at WrestleMania? Legit wrestler, no announcers or Vince. Love that question, and not just because it's Mr. Marso. I just thought it was a really, really good question. So props to you, RJ. Took a lot of time to think about it. Either, I was going to say the Boogeyman, but it wasn't a one-on-one match. It was him and Booker and Sharmell in a handicap match. Because Boogeyman, I love the character. I've met the guy. He's so chill in person. He fucking sucked as a wrestler. Why he got a match at WrestleMania, I guess we'll never know. It was absolutely atrocious, though. But it wasn't a one-on-one match, so I would say the Great Khali. Khali and Kane was also equally atrocious. Maybe not as bad, but it was pretty bad. That match sucked. I could see why they were doing that feud to build up Khali as a big threat, but thank God they never gave the guy another one-on-one match at Mania after that, because that was terrible. And like you said, no announcers like Michael Cole or Lawrence Taylor, because those are celebrities. They're not wrestlers, or they're the commentators, whatever. But in terms of, I'm sure there's other names that come to mind, but the first one that came to mind, and doing some research on the question, Khali's got to be, if not leading the list, he's got to be way up there, along with the Boogeyman. But like I said, that was not a singles match at WrestleMania 22. His second question, why does Raw feature so many throwaway matches when SmackDown does not? The 1 hour should not affect the whole show. That's my argument too. People will say, oh, it's because they have a 3 hour show and they need to fill that 3 hours somehow. No, they don't. I mean, they do need to fill the show, but it's like SmackDown, there's no filler. I mean, it's to the point where they have every segment on SmackDown meaning something, where there's people that don't even make the show. Like American Alpha and the Usos, as I mentioned, weren't even on the show last night. And it gets to that point where they have so many segments they need to get to that get a lot of time, and rightfully so, With Raw, it's like a lot of the stuff I see in the show just feels inconsequential. That show on Monday would have been a hell of a lot stronger on the whole had they not done New Day versus Jinder and Rusev again. Had they not done Sheamus and Titus O'Neil again. Had they not done Big Show and the Shining Stars. Who cares? Take away all that shit and give that time to Samoa Joe and Cesaro, who had a pretty good match for 3 minutes, but Samoa Joe and Cesaro should be getting, did I say 3 minutes? I meant 8 minutes. They should be getting a hell of a lot more time than that, though. So that's like the benefit of a 3-hour Raw, that you get more time for matches and stuff, but at the same time, the amount of filler they have on that show is ridiculous. And I mean, it's not even the creative more often than not. The show's been better as of late, but the fucking filler on Monday pissed me off. It's like, you should not have that much filler. Like, maybe one of those matches, having all three, it's like, am I watching an episode of Main Event or Superstars or something? I was just blown away by that. Then again, all really not that surprised. And we'll finish off here. Got a couple more questions at Sean Markistic. Thoughts on the ending of SmackDown Live. I thought it was awesome. I was sad that Orton... I mean, the timing of it's weird, just because why would Orton now, of all times, announce that he's betraying the Wyatt family, which we all knew was coming anyway. That didn't really bother me. The timing was weird, because AJ, quote-unquote, became the number one contender earlier in the evening by beating Luke Harper. I'm sure that won't stick. I doubt that will stick. But, no, the visual itself, the angle itself was fucking badass. And I've said this, to various people in the last 24 hours. They gotta hold off. I mean, not hold off, but they gotta hold an Orton double turn. Like, Orton should be the heel and Wyatt should be the babyface. Like, Orton's a fucking motherfucker after what he did last night. He's a douchebag. Like, he just burned the body of his sister Abigail. So, like, that to me is a douchey thing to do, obviously, to put it lightly. And, Wyatt trusted him. It's like you have an ex-girlfriend, like you're in a marriage, okay? You're in a relationship. And the girl says, you know what? I've been cheating on you this entire time. You gave me the keys to your house. Fuck you. And I'm going to burn your house down to the ground. That's pretty much what it is. And the guy never really did anything wrong. Maybe he treated her poorly 6-7 months ago. But, they've been getting really along. They've been getting along recently. But in the meantime, she's been cheating on him the entire time. So then she reveals that she's been cheating on him and then fucks him over by burning down his house. I would feel for the guy. So I feel like Orton should be the heel in this situation. But no, I thought it was an awesome ending. Definitely one of the greatest endings to SmackDown in quite some time. The SmackDown show has been great on the whole, obviously, but that ending was amazing. That visual was fucking cool. I've seen that picture everywhere on Twitter the past 12 hours with Orton doing the pose in front of the fire, in front of the burning house, which was wonderful. I thought it was a really well done angle. His second question, can we get Luke Harper versus Shane McMahon at WrestleMania? Putting AJ in the title match and then kind of switching it up and doing Harper and Shane instead, because Harper did inadvertently hit Shane at ringside, I guess, but like Luke Harper's just getting over as the babyface. Doing Harper and Shane is just, like I'd rather have it that way with AJ in the title match, but at this point, you kind of already painted yourself into a corner in doing AJ and Shane. And Harper in the title match is great. I'm not complaining, but I just don't really want AJ and Shane. I mean, the match could be good. I just think it's a waste of AJ, but that's just me. So, I mean, it's possible. They didn't really announce anything. They didn't really make anything clear on Talking Smack after the show last night. But, I mean, I guess we'll find out. Excuse me, my voice cracked there for a second. But, no, I guess we'll find out more in the weeks to come, maybe on SmackDown next week. I'm sure we'll hear more about it in terms of what the official WrestleMania main event will be. They only have 4 or 5 weeks, so they got to start announcing the card, relatively soon for SmackDown. For both Raw and SmackDown. But Raw is a pay-per-view on Sunday, so I kind of forgive that. But we'll see where it goes in the month ahead. At Armchair Booking, booking idea. Foley is mad at Stephanie. Gets even by loaning Balor to SmackDown for a match at Mania with AJ. What are your thoughts? Again, if there's any interpromotional match to be done other than Harper and Strowman possibly, it would be Balor and AJ. I just feel like a match of that caliber with the history they have at this point with only a month left, it's just, it's not, by the way that you booked it, it's not interpromotional, but like a feud of that caliber should not be set up that way. Like it should stem from bad blood and not just the fact that, Balor got traded to SmackDown overnight. And Balor should be going after the gold when he comes back. So I like it a lot because Balor and AJ would be fucking amazing. To see it live would blow my mind. I don't see it happening, honestly. I definitely don't see it happening, but Balor needs a match for Mania. I assume he will be back either at Fastlane or the next night, because from what I saw of the NXT taping last week, the video that WWE posted, he looks good to go. He said he wasn't. He said he wasn't cleared to compete yet, but I'm sure he will be cleared relatively soon. He looked A-okay to me. But good idea. I just think even AJ and Balor deserves a bigger build-up than hey, these guys are directionless. Let's put them in a match of Mania. It should be a multi-month build for a match of that caliber. So again, I wouldn't complain, but I think they should hold off on that until SummerSlam or even WrestleMania next year. They're going to be in the company for a while, so I think you could give it time before rushing into that match. Next three questions from @Scarlet1 to finish off here. Did you see Dana Brooke trying to respond to criticism on Twitter? I did. I thought this was fucking great. So if you go to, I think the handle on Twitter is @TotalDivasEps. They used to post GIFs for Total Divas, which is why the handle is that, but now they're the go-to account for all GIFs of everything in wrestling, NXT, Raw, SmackDown, everything, Talking Smack even, and they do a really good job. So what they did during Raw on Monday, they posted a GIF, a close-up of Dana Brooke, and this is not the first time something like this has happened, but she tried to grab the foot of Bayley when Bayley was, Irish whipped into the ropes, and she fucked up and missed Bayley's foot. I completely missed it live. I must have been talking to Haley or not paying attention, whatever. I didn't see it, but I saw that GIF and I laughed out loud. And then I saw that Dana Brooke responded. The account did not tag her in the tweet, so someone either must have sent it to her or she saw it herself, and she's like, hey, you don't know what I do, don't not bully me, but she was something along those lines. She was saying you don't know what we do, why don't you get in the ring and do it? Don't post shit like that. Don't talk shit, blah, blah, blah. And someone responded to her saying, just do the move right and we won't shit on you. And she's like, shut up. I thought it was hilarious. It's what is this, fucking middle school? It was so funny. I saw that and I just laughed out loud. Dana Brooke is a great character. She has a good presence about her. She's attractive. She's not a bad talker, but as a wrestler, fucking terrible. If there was any indication that she was called up too soon in the main roster, that GIF summed it up in a nutshell. Their second question, is American Alpha being pushed proficiently enough? Good question. I don't think so. I know they're the current SmackDown Tag Team Champions, but Dolph Ziggler, Apollo Crews, and Kalisto get more time than these do than those guys do on SmackDown every week. It's American Alpha are on the show, or they're on the show. American Alpha are on the show. I keep on saying American Alpha. It's American Alpha. It's idea. It's idea. American Alpha are on the show every other week, and it's so weird. Despite being the tag team champions. So, no, they're not. They come off great on Talking Smack, but they need more character development on the main roster. They're not connecting with the crowd the way they should be. I put up a whole clip on this, so we talked about it on Wrestle Rant Radio a few weeks ago. The clip's here on the channel if you want to check it out. Just go to Wrestle Rant Radio excerpts, but we already kind of talked about it. But yeah, I think they do. It's not that they're being pushed wrong. It's just that they need more TV time / character development to really fully flesh out their characters. And the last question, how does the hype for Fastlane compare to the two previous installments? I don't remember the build, to be quite honest with you. Just the last two Fastlane shows themselves were not that good. I remember being entertained by some of it. The 2015 when Orton came back, that was cool. But you had that random 6-man tag team match to kick off the show with Show, Kane, and Rollins versus Ryback, Rowan, and Ziggler. Who cares? The only thing good about that show, from what I can recall, Goldust and Stardust sucked. The only good thing about that show that I can recall was Bryan and Reigns in the main event. And last year was kind of the same thing. AJ and Jericho had a pretty good match, not as good of a match as they did on Raw and SmackDown prior to that point. The main event was really good, but that's about it. The Edge and Christian show on that show fucking sucked. Ziggler and Rollins, or Ziggler and Owens rather, for the IC title was good, but nothing we hadn't seen before. Charlotte and Bray was pretty good, kind of sloppy, but all right. It wasn't a good show. I just remember the WWE TV at that time just being just not good. Just really not good at all. The build up to those two shows, I was not excited for it. I'm kind of looking forward to Sunday just for really Reigns and Strowman of all things, shockingly enough. And Goldberg and Owens should be good. Reigns and Strowman should be, I think, really good. Based off the build, it's been awesome. What else do we have? I don't even really... The tag title match, I don't care. Cruiserweight title match should be good. The women's title match, don't care. Sasha and Nia, don't care. The Fastlane match, whatever. Is there any more matches? I don't even really know. But, the build's been all right. Raw recently, with the exception of Monday, has been better overall, in the past couple weeks in 2017 compared to 2016, Raw sucked the last few months. The last few months in 2016. But with the exception of Monday, which was a pretty boring show. It had its highlights, but the show overall was really not that good in my opinion. The build to Fastlane this year has been better. Here's hoping they can execute a really good show. I think they can pull off a solid show with the right booking. So, fingers crossed they could do that. And that does it, guys, for hashtag AskGSM episode 170 here today. As always, I appreciate your support of the show by liking the video, leaving a comment with your question or just feedback, whatever. By sharing these videos and also subscribing to the channel. I forgot to mention it last week, but we recently surpassed the 1,100 mark, so the 1,100 mark last Tuesday. I forgot when it was. I talked to Jason recently, but we also talked last week and he informed me about it. He texted me about it, and I completely forgot to mention it here on the show last week. So, again, a little late to the party, but thank you for your support. You guys are fucking awesome. We just passed 1,000 in mid-December, so it's crazy that we're quickly rising up in the ranks here in the channel, so I appreciate that. But as always, guys, be sure to tweet in your questions for next week's post-Fastlane event. We're already on the road to WrestleMania. I'm fucking pumped for a month from today, to be in Orlando. The happiest place on earth, I certainly will be. Not Disney World, but fucking WrestleMania. In 1 month from today. Really 1 month from tomorrow, but I will be in Orlando 1 month from today with Jason, so I cannot wait for that. But yeah, next week we will have the post-Fastlane episode, so stay tuned for that. By tweeting me on the Twitter machine at WrestleRant. You can find me with the hashtag AskGSM. You can find me on Facebook at facebook.com/graham.gsm.matthews. Leave a comment on the post I usually put up on Tuesday nights, if not the wall itself. And just leave a comment in this very video with your question. I'll be sure to include it in next week's edition. So I'm looking forward to Fastlane on Sunday. Like I said, I think the show could be pretty solid. The pay-per-view has the potential to be fun. RJ is coming by to watch the show with me for the first time since TLC. So maybe we can convince Mr. Marceau to stick around for an extra couple minutes to answer some of your questions. So if you send him in early or immediately after the pay-per-view, maybe we could sit down and answer a few of your questions. RJ has not been here on the show since he graduated 10 months ago at this point, so it'd be cool to get Mr. Marceau out of retirement for hashtag AskGSM next week. Fingers crossed, rather, we will see. But in the meantime and in between time, guys, have an amazing week, and I'll catch you guys down the road to WrestleMania.